the commonly used musical symbols. So today I'm going to show you the commonly used musical symbols in music. But before that, what is a musical symbols? So symbols provide information about the form of a piece, example how many repeats of a section, or about how to play the note. Example with violin family instruments, a note may be bowed or plucked. Some symbols are instrument-specific notation, giving the performer information about which finger, hand, or foot to use. So let's go to the lines. Staff or stave. The staff is the main structure of the notation. It is where notes and symbols are placed. So the 5 staff lines that you can see and the 4 intervening spaces correspond to pitches of the diatonic scale, which pitch is meant by a given line or space is defined by the clef. Next is the ledger lines. The ledger lines are used to notate notes and pitches that go further above or below the staff. So ledger lines extend the staff to pitches that fall above or below it. So ledger lines are placed behind the note's head and extend a small distance to each side. Multiple ledger lines can be used when necessary to notate pitches even farther above or below the staff. Bar line. So as you can see, the vertical line that is placed on the staff is called the bar line, and bar lines indicate measures. These separate measures and also used for changes in time signature. Next is the bold double bar line. The bold double bar line indicates the end of the composition. So let's proceed to the clefs. First is the G clef or treble clef. It is a symbol located at the beginning of a staff to indicate the pitches of the notes placed on the lines and spaces of the staff. It is also named G clef because the symbol is a stylized letter G that encircles the line of the staff, indicating where the G above middle C is located. F clef or bass clef. A bass clef symbol tells you that the second line from the top, the one that is bracketed by the symbols dot, is F. The notes are still arranged in ascending order, but they are all in different places than they were in treble clef. Now, let's proceed to the notes. First is the whole note. Whole note is the note with the longest time value in modern music. Its length is equal to 4 beats and take up an entire bar in 4/4 time. Next is half note. So, half note is a note having the time value of 2 quarter notes or half of a whole note represented by a ring with a stem. So if the whole notes is equal to 4 beats, then half note is equal to 2 beats. Quarter note. A note having the time value of a quarter of a whole note or a half note represented by a large solid dot with a plain stem. So if a half note is equal to 2 beats, then a quarter note is equal to 1 beat. Eighth note. A note having the time value of an eighth of a whole note or half a quarter note, represented by a large dot with a hooked stem. So eighth note has 1/2 of 1 beat. 16th note is a note having the time value of a 16th of a whole note or half an eighth note, represented by a large dot with a 2 hooked stem. 16th note will be worth half of an 8th note. Next is beam notes. A beam is a horizontal or diagonal line used to connect multiple consecutive notes to indicate rhythmic grouping, and only 8 notes or shorter can be beamed. So beams connect 8 notes and notes of shorter value and are equivalent in value to flags. Dotted note. A dotted note is a note with a small dot written after it. In modern practice, the first dot increases the duration of the basic note by half the original note with an extra beam of its original value. So on the given sample, what we have is a quarter note, and the value of a quarter note is 1. And since it has a dotted note right after it, the duration of the note will increase by 1/2. So next is flat. A flat in musical notation means lower in pitch by one semitone or half step. Sharp. So the sharp is the opposite of flat. So flat lowers the pitch of a note by 1/2 step, while sharp raises the pitch of a note by 1/2 tone or half step. So let's proceed to note relationship. So what we have is a tie. Tie is a curved line connecting the heads of two notes with the same pitch, indicating that they are to be played as a single note with a duration equal to the sum of the individual notes' values. Tie indicates that the two or more notes joined together are to be played as one note with the time values added together. To be a tie, the notes must be identical. That is, they must be on the same line or same space, otherwise it is a slur. Now let's proceed to dynamics. Dynamics are indicators of the relative intensity or volume of a musical line. So the first example is the pianissimo, which has the symbol of three-letter P's. Pianissimo means extremely soft. Next is pianissimo, which has the symbol of two-letter P, which means very soft. Next is piano, which has the symbol of one-letter P, which means soft and is louder than pianissimo. Next is MP, which is mezzo piano and means moderately soft and louder than piano. Next is MF or mezzo forte, which means moderately loud and is softer than forte. Next is the F sign, which is forte and it means loud. Next is fortissimo, the double F sign, which means very loud. Lastly is fortissimo, which has the 3 signs of F, which means extremely. So we must understand how music works. When learning music, students may find themselves wondering why a certain note was chosen, or what those funny symbols in a piece of sheet music actually mean. An understanding of interval scales and keys will help students see why notes are placed together, or why a sharp or a flat makes sense in a certain context. At the end of the day, learning the basic musical symbols will definitely help you become a well-rounded musician and make it possible for you to progress more successfully in music.